yesterday, and the magician has joined us. The magician, because again, the quote is, "I'm pulling this one out of my ass." And what happened? Was it a half a yard? It was a half a yard.
Half a yard.
Half a yard.
Half a yard he went over by, Coach. And I told you yesterday I really didn't like too much, but I said, you know what, I got to give the viewers a little bit something to make some money on yesterday. Over 77.5. He ended up with 78. So I play it close to the vest sometimes. You know what I mean? You gotta give the fans just a little touch to get nervous about with my picks.
Okay.
But hey, I moved on. 26-6. Here we go.
There you go. And I before we get any further, I just got to give a shout out to Tommy at the Lewis Harbor Marina. Turned 50 on Friday, so it's a little bit, and so I got to play this for him real quick.
You want to go from hanging in the alley, dining on pork and beans, to making that money and dining with kings and queens? Listen to Nick's picks exclusively in the Huddle with Coach Muddle.
All right, there you go. Happy birthday there, Tommy. And let's get into we had 3 big games, and none of them really a blowout. I thought we watched some good football yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, that Bills. I mean, look, man. STIZZ will tell you we were on the seesaw, man. We were on the seesaw yesterday because we both had Bills Bucks tees really big. And hey, man, first thing I said yesterday, the dogs usually bark on wild card weekend. Dogs were 3-0 yesterday, so they barked. Look, let's start up with the first game, the Bills game. Look, I thought Josh Allen played really well. I really did. I think the Bills are asking a little bit too much of him. If you're going to expect this throughout the playoffs. I mean, no running game really. He was the leading rusher. But the one play that concerned me, he took a 23-yard sack, and it took him out of field goal range. You can't do that. You can't have a mistake like that. He did the same thing last year against the Texans. But look, ultimately the Bills won. They weren't good on third down either. And their defense wasn't good on third down. The offense was like 1 of 8, and then the defense was giving up like 60% on third downs. But ultimately they won the game. They sneaked out, and Coach STIZZ, I said yesterday, this was the game that scared me with the Bills the most. It's like getting that one in your belt. Right. And, if the Steelers win today, that's who they'll play. I like them against the Steelers. So really interested to see how it plays out today. But, look, good game for Josh Allen. Like I said, ultimately, we all know, like Al Davis said, just win, baby. And, they're on the next week, so that's all that matters. But, yeah, I mean, it was a tight game.
It was, and they let them hang around. And what happens when you let those teams hang around, it can get dicey at the end, right. And that's what happened. But I all in all, I thought, that I think that was probably the best game of the day.
Oh yeah, I
was a surprise in the second game because I really didn't think that the Rams, I just think Seattle got the days mixed up. Did they think they were playing today? Because it looked like they were just going through the walkthrough yesterday.
Yeah, and Coach, let me say this: the Colts, if they get a quarterback and a receiver, oh my God! Like even without the receiver, could you imagine if Andrew Luck was on this team?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I said it yesterday. It was going to get to the second half, and Phillip Rivers wasn't going to be able to make a play, and that happened. Look, he did make a touchdown, but that was a defensive breakdown. I mean, honestly, STIZZ could have ran that route, or even me. I mean, it was a wheel route. It was wide open. I mean, but yeah, I mean, that Colts team has got talent, man. And Jonathan Taylor's starting to hit his stride. We all know about the line. Rivers is a statue back there, and he's only been sacked like 14 times. They got a great line. You put a good QB like Wentz in there and a receiver.
What's up, Steve? Morning.
I'm telling you, if Wentz goes there And I know, look, Eagles fans, you can say what you want, but I'm telling you, Wentz goes to the Colts, he will be, I guarantee, a top 10 quarterback again. I think he'll be a top 5 quarterback because that's just Frank Reich. They're going to run the ball. They're not going to ask their quarterback to do everything and throw the ball 45 times like Doug does.
Right.
Hey, listen,
Right.
we all bought into the hype of Buffalo. You know, we all bought into it. First playoff win since 1995 against Miami in a wild card game. Hey, listen, good for them, man. You know, we like to see these teams, you know, up and coming.
Yeah.
And, you know, so hopefully this will be the trend from now on. You know, New England is, you know, going down. Buffalo's going, and Miami as well. Your team, Nick. Miami, you know, moving up the charts.
Right. And look, you know, I'm happy for the Bills fans, man. 4 straight Super Bowls you lose. And then, you know, obviously, like you said, their last win's 95. And then they make the playoffs in 99. And you have the, you know, Dyson runs the kickback on you and that craziness at the end. You know, I mean, and then after that, it was, you know, I think it was till like a year ago, maybe, or maybe they had another appearance, but still pretty much no playoff success for 20 years, you know, 25 years, their first playoff win. So happy for Bills fans. And honestly, that's kind of the team I'm rooting for. And it would make sense in this year with all the things that have been going crazy. Wouldn't it be nuts if the Bills just, you know, won the not World Series, something in the Cubs, but if the Bills won the Super Bowl, obviously, and I'd be happy for Bills fans. You know, they were Bills Mafia, they call them. They were going crazy yesterday, and you know, good for them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, big, you know, big day. Unfortunately, you know, because you know the Bills, no tailgating, but you know that. The crowd made some noise for only being 65,
I know.
You know, just shy of 7,000 fans, you know, but they were all down in the lower section. So, but I felt like they were really making some noise there. So, you know.
You want to put what Fusco says, Stiz? You
yeah,
want to explain that?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Sorry.
I can answer that. Fusco, what's up, my brother? So we had a little. I'm not sure if you tuned in yesterday or not, but you know these prop bets I've been hot on, and Coach in Nevada were calling me the magician because I said I was going to pull another prop bet out of my ass, and I actually pulled one out last night by a half a yard. So Chris used to always test me on meanings of words, so I actually had to look it up just in case he was on. Magi comes from the Greek word from magos, which means magic. So where the, you know, kind of the term magician comes from. Magi was actually the literary term for the 3 wise men that brought Jesus their gifts. You know, much like me, I'm like one of the 3 wise men. You know, I'm giving props out. I'm giving gifts to everybody. So
there you go. Look, man, not only do you get sports, you get gambling, and you get an education. I mean, look, you get you know, meanings of words here. I mean, geez.
Hey, listen, I got my GED, you know?
Now,
look, it's that Delco education, man. You know,
you better believe it.
You want to get into that Seattle game a little bit, Coach? Because
go ahead.
I really thought, you know, first of all, they got to get an offensive line. I mean, that you know, Wilson's getting sacked. You know, a lot of mistakes yesterday. The pick 6, and I really thought Metcalf was getting pissed on the sidelines and chirping, and they throw a wide receiver screen to him. I think forcing the ball to him to make a play, guy jumps it. I mean, the Rams guy was right on it. He saw it coming, pick 6. And in that kind of game, you know what? That's a game you should have been conservative. You got a backup QB. You know, he ends up getting hurt. Goff's got, you know, a broken thumb. He just had surgery on 12 days ago. So you got to be more conservative. They were averaging 5 yards a rush, and I don't understand why you're doing things like that. You know, they had 2 turnovers. You know, obviously the pick 6 and the horrible punt, you know, where they fumble. And you can't give the Rams points there. And I really thought, you know, Seattle lost an opportunity. Wilson missed. Metcalf in the end zone. But, man, credit to that Rams defense, man. No doubt, best defense in football. Just balling. And, look, you know, Donald, we got to see what's going on with him. He went out in the first half yesterday, or second half. So curious to see what happens with that. But, yeah, man, Seattle, they got, like I said, they got to fix that line because you got the weapons. But, you know, Russell Wilson was running for his life. And you know how it gets, Coach. you get happy feet, and then you start getting that phantom pressure that you feel nothing's coming just because you don't have any faith in your offensive line. So, Pete Carroll's got to fix that. And I thought, he had some mistakes coaching-wise yesterday, coaching a little conservative. But, yeah, look, credit to the Rams because that defense just balled out.
It is, but I don't understand the Seattle defense. Like you said, you got a quarterback who played one football game in the NFL, the backup quarterback with a broken thumb, and you're not loading the box. You allowed them to come on. When a team rushes for over 100 yards, they're winning a football game. That percentage jumps.
Yeah.
So you allowed that to happen when that was their only source of, offense. I mean, they couldn't really throw the ball very well, and still did nothing. And, come on, Jamal Adams is basically a linebacker walking up. I mean, he has, I think he has the most sacks in the secondary this season for safety or whatever. And you didn't really hear his name called a lot yesterday.
And look, he missed the pick too, Coach. I mean, Goff threw up a duck at one point. And look, Cooper Kupp, credit to him, made a big play on it. But Adams was right there and missed it. And that was the difference in the game. Rams, created opportunities, and obviously the Seahawks missed opportunities. So, but look, I agree with you. And 128 yards. And look, Seattle, as bad as that defense was in the second half, Seattle's defense was good in the second half of the year. And they're really good against the run. So to give up 128 yards to Cam Akers, I would have, stacked the box like you said, Coach, and said, all right, beat me, quarterback, and they couldn't.
So,
Tom, what's going on, Tom? Yeah, Rams. I was kind of opposite of these guys yesterday. I kind of like the Rams. I mean, really solely because of their defense, and honestly, gambling wise, because that line was too low. I thought the Rams defense were going to step up. Yeah. Listen, they held Big Russ. I mean, Big Russ isn't cooking anymore, man. He was great the first half of the season. They hold him to 11 completions for 174 yards yesterday, which is brutal for Russell Wilson. We talked about also Jalen Ramsey and DK Metcalf. Jalen Ramsey shadowed him 69% of the routes yesterday, okay? DK had 3 catches for 33 yards on them routes that Ramsey was shadowing him. I mean, dude, he's a lockdown. He's Metcalf's nemesis, man. I mean, he broke out a little bit later, had a couple, big chunks of yards, and he had them, I think, 2 touchdowns, I believe. But Rams D stepped up, man. Rams D's moving on, but I agree with you. I think, Green Bay is another beast, dude. They got a full package. So we'll see what's going on. Joanne, good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, what's up, Joanne? Look, if the Saints win today, and I'm waiting too, because obviously now we're only down to 2 games. If the Titans beat the Ravens, obviously I don't consider that an upset. So, usually there's a big upset on Wild Card weekend. So now it would be obviously the Browns or the Bears. So we'll see what happens. But if the Saints win today, it's going to be Saints Bucks for the 3rd time, which worries me with my Saints. And then obviously it'll be
really
Green Bay.
Beat them 3 times in a row.
And it'll be Green Bay versus the Rams. And I really wanted to see Green Bay, obviously, versus the Bucks, and then Seattle versus the Saints. Just because you got Breeze Wilson and Brady Rodgers, because I just think, look, man, Rams, credit to them, that's going to be a tall task going into Green Bay and beating Aaron Rodgers. And I just don't think their offense is going to be able to keep up with the Packers offense, because I love that Rams D, but Aaron Rodgers will have success.
Especially if Donald's sidelined next week.
Oh, 100%.
Big piece missing.
Well, and a lot of people don't give credit too. Leonard Floyd from the Bears, he can rush the passer, man. They got it at every level. I mean, you got Floyd and Darnold rushing the passer. You got Jalen Ramsey, the best corner in football, just, shut down corner. Johnson, the corner. They just have a tremendous defense. And look, it's crazy because we were so used to that offense with McVay the year they make the Super Bowl. Now you got to wonder, does McVay kind of question Goff and want to get a new guy in there to get that offense going because, man, that defense is 100% Super Bowl caliber. It's the offense that's the problem.
I agree with you. I think the offensive line, though, is getting up there in age. I know Whitworth is, he's getting up there. So, it'll be interesting to see.
Get it out there, Spider. Get it out there, Spider. Whitworth. Come on, get it out there, Spider. Come on, Spider.
Over here.
Yeah. Fuck you, Tommy.
Now, let's get to that last game. Obviously, last night, another one. Man, me and STIZZ. And look, both those teams, Bills and the Bucks, they had double-digit leads going into the fourth quarter. And credit to the other teams, both ended up having the ball with a chance to, tie or take a lead. So credit to them. But
here, I just want to fast forward to the end of the game. Two things that stuck out to me that really hurt. I thought Mike Evans made that great play on first down when they thought they were with 4 minutes left. Great catch, and he steps out of bounds to stop the clock.
I thought the same thing, Coach. And why not stay in and run the clock? I agree with that. I thought the same thing.
But it would have made them waste their timeout because you saw saw Washington call their timeout immediately.
Yeah.
But still, they didn't have to call a timeout. And the other thing was Chase Young standing on the sidelines is the most important part of the game. Yeah. They need their best defensive lineman in there, and he's not in the game.
Yeah,
I think they said it was a toe injury or something.
Yeah. He
But
said he couldn't push off. I heard. You could see him mouth.
Yeah, I read his lips can't push off. But man, come on, suck it up, dude. And
especially when you said I want Brady.
Man. You want Brady. You have you had the goose egg up there. I mean,
goose egg.
And
I think he had one pressure. That was it. But look, man, let's give credit where credit's due. First of all, if you told me the Bucs scored 31 points, I'd have thought route. Now, Heineke balled, dude. He jumped from the 4-yard line at one point and got it and hit the pylon. The kid looked good. Definitely is going to have some eyes on him to bring in as a backup at the least. I don't know if he's a starter at one game, but definitely backup. Dude, he was really elusive in the pocket.
I think he's there. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the starter next season.
It's one game, but he was really elusive in the pocket, looked good. But like I said, man, anybody who's a Brady hater, dude, at 43, he was swinging it, man, and putting the ball where it needed to be. I mean, and slinging it down the field. I mean, Godwin had 3 drops. Evans had a long one that he got, I thought, held a little bit and just missed it. I mean, he almost had more yardage and touchdowns. Brady was just unbelievable, moving in the pocket really well too. I mean, people got to understand what we're seeing here. I don't know if you're ever going to see a career like this. I mean, 43 years old, he's playing at MVP level football.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
And it's funny because, I'm at an establishment last night watching the game, and of course, the yelling at Brady and all that, and come to find out what are they? Raider fans. Can you just get off the
well, Coach,
you didn't make Tom Brady just because the Tuck rule doesn't give you get credit for nothing. Right. You have been irrelevant for I can't even remember. Okay.
Well, it's not just Raiders fans. A lot of people hate on Brady. But because a lot of teams he's beating up on a lot of people.
He has. But you know what? At some point, you just got to say, man, hey, the guy's good at his craft, man. Give the guy props.
I agree.
Let's move on with our day.
But, Coach, it's easier for me and you because our teams have Super Bowl wins against them.
Right.
Not to be, but let's be honest, so we've beaten them. But, man, I don't care because, look, Brady beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the first one, and I didn't like the team. But how can't you tip your hat to a guy like that? I mean, he's the GOAT. There's no discussion. I mean, he's the greatest of all time, and it's going to be a tough career to duplicate. Gets this.
No, I'm saying they call him the GOAT for a reason, that's for sure. And, we kind of touched on Mike Evans. Boy, did Tom need Mike Evans yesterday, man. 6 catches, 119 yards. I mean, that was big for him. They needed that big body. I mean, shit, last week we seen – I really thought it was I think it was a hyperextended knee, but his knee didn't flush out, which, could have been an ACL, which he would have been done for the playoffs. I mean, he looked okay yesterday. I mean, I was afraid he would have been missing for the playoffs. And I'll tell you, it's Heineke time, man. This kid kept them in the game. He not only 306 yards in the air, but he had 46 rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground with that dive that you talked about a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
He gave him a spark. Me in Nevada, hey, listen, man, my heart's still palpitating from yesterday's games. I can't take this anymore. It's bad enough I'm under pressure with all these prop bets. Now, I'm actually, putting some money on some games, and you got to go down to the wire every game. We can't get anything easy. I couldn't even watch the game, to tell you the truth. I was dogging down Heineken's, like they were going out of style. I couldn't even watch. I had to get Nevada to give me the box score, every couple minutes. So, but yeah, I mean, good games if you're a fan. If you're gambling and it's that tight, you don't like it. You'd like to see blowouts all the way. But yeah, for the fan view, great, first opening wild card weekend games for sure. Yeah. I'm sure we're going to see 3 more today.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. And one thing too, man, because I know yesterday when Frank Reich goes for it on 4th and 4 from the obviously down 4th and goal, I should say, from the 4. And I thought, man, you got to kick that field goal. And then they end up losing by a field goal. They went for a 2-point conversion that I didn't get either because they had a penalty. So it went from the 2 to the 1.
Right.
But, I get it, Frank Reich. And I don't mind the aggressiveness. But, my thing is, and I've said it all year, Phillip Rivers, he's going to throw the ball there at 4th and goal from the 4. You're not going to run most likely. You know what I mean? So he's throwing. And look, the play was there. Rivers just didn't make the throw, but you got to take the points, especially in the playoffs where points are at a premium.
Right. I agree. I agree. I just because of I think I agree with you more because of Phillip Rivers being the quarterback, because I'm kind of I'm a go for it guy. So I only agree because Phillip Rivers, he's a statue back there. He's not gonna. He's a one-trick pony basically.
Right. Yeah, and I know on the broadcast, Charles Davis said that he thinks, and I couldn't disagree more, that if Rivers wants to come back, the Colts are going to bring him back. If the Colts do that, you're wasting talent. I mean, let's not kid each other. I know, obviously last year Andrew Luck surprise retirement. I get it. But I didn't like the signing this year. And once again, this team is talented enough to compete for a Super Bowl. But Rivers puts a ceiling on them, and look, they could have maybe won that. He probably should have won that game yesterday and advanced to the second round, but they weren't getting further than that. Rivers puts a ceiling on them. You go get a Wentz or maybe draft a quarterback. I don't know. But you got to get somebody in there because, man, they got a great roster. It's just you're missing the most important piece, which is a quarterback.
Right. I agree 100%. So we'll see.
You want to get into today's games?
Let's jump into today's games and see, and let's just start, right off the bat. We got the Ravens and the Titans, man. I kind of like the playoffs when you got to face your divisional, not division. They used to be in the division together, but, the big matchup where, this was a repeat from last year. The Titans came in, upset, the Super Bowl favorite. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, no, I am too, and I think it's going to be a good game. Look, Lamar Jackson, I think early on was hearing a lot of that chatter about, the success in the playoffs, and he has a ceiling. Look, I said it myself. I think he's just saying, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to win, and running the ball a lot. And look, I don't know how sustainable that is because playing like that, I think eventually he's going to get hurt. Let's just be honest.
Right.
He's going to get popped. But look, I mean, it's hard to defend. So look, the Ravens are dangerous, man. And I said I really think I would not be surprised if the Ravens make the Super Bowl or even win it. I just like how they're playing. I don't, like I said.
I think it's 5 straight wins coming into today.
Yeah, and look, they're very aggressive on defense. They blitz you, and if they have success running the ball, and it's all about matchups. And if they win today, most likely, unless the Browns win, they're going to play the Chiefs next week. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be on the Ravens probably because my guess it'll be 6 or 7 points. And the Chiefs have played a lot of tight games, and let me tell you. That's the kind of team that the Chiefs could really struggle with. Now, look, the Chiefs beat them earlier in the year. The Chiefs, when they play playoff teams, have really stepped up. I think the Chiefs, and Mark Schlereth said it, he's kind of right, are dealing with a little bit of boredom. They're a lot better than all these teams. You can't get up for some of these games, and they're still winning. But 4-0 against playoff teams, they really kind of tied one on the Ravens earlier in the year. But still, I think if the Ravens can run the ball, and keep Mahomes off the field. And look, that Chiefs run defense struggles. That could be a very dangerous matchup, in my opinion, for the Chiefs. And I thought that helped the Chiefs last year, not having to play the Ravens, obviously, in the playoffs. I had the Chiefs to win it all, but I thought that was going to be a tough one for the Chiefs if they had to play the Ravens in Baltimore, obviously, last year. Luckily, they didn't. They were at home and played the Titans.
I'll tell you today, the game today, it's really tough to beat a team 3 times in a row. We all know that. Baltimore's coming off that embarrassment in the divisional round last year. They're number 1 seed, come off a bye week, and they just get trounced by Tennessee 28-12. So, they got there's a little bit of little ill will in their back pocket today. So I really like Baltimore today. I think I agree with you. I think they do have to run the ball. They have to try to limit Derrick Henry. It's going to be hard to do, but I think that's the way they win. They keep Derrick Henry under 100 yards. I think he got a good shot.
Yeah, and I just think too, Tennessee's defense, man,
terrible.
Yeah.
Lots of holes there. Lots of holes.
And I'm just going on balance. I love Tannehill, and I love that. I mean, look, how can't you like Derrick Henry and the way they run the ball? And then, look, Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, they're having success, throwing the ball. Tannehill's having another good year. But that defense, it's just, you're asking way too much of the offense. And I just think Baltimore's more balanced. You got a good defense with Baltimore. Curious to see, waiting to hear on if Marlon Humphreys and Jimmy Smith are going to play. I think they're going to. But like I said, man, Baltimore's going to bring the pressure. I would think they're going to say Tannehill beat us because you got to stop the run. Because if you just let Henry run all over you, then it's going to be whoever has the ball last, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Tennessee right now, depending on if they lose today, they'll be about 23 on the draft board if they were to lose today. And honestly, they got to find a pass rush. They have none of any type, and I think that's hurting them before anything else.
Losing Clowney hurt too. I mean, that was,
Yeah, but I still Clowney. I mean, what really did he do?
Coach, with Clowney, you're going all based on sacks. He gets a lot of pressure. I agree, he doesn't get there, a ton, but Clowney's an impact player. I agree that it wouldn't change the whole aspect, like where they're just this great pass rush now. But he still puts pressure on it. Would have helped. But I agree with you. They still would have had issues with the pass.
Not a Batman. He's a Robin. I'm just saying. I just think Clowney's a Robin. And
he did pretty good in Seattle last year.
Again, but Seattle has some pieces out there as well.
Not on defensive line.
So, no, they have. They had somebody last year.
They got the linebacker. Bobby Wagner is really good.
Yeah,
they have some pieces on defense, and you got Pete Carroll, who's a good defensive mind, obviously. But no, look, you know how it is. You got to be able to rush the passer, and they can't because they actually don't have a terrible secondary. Kevin Byard's a good safety. He's been a Pro Bowl safety before. And, Malcolm Butler's not a bad corner. It's just like you said, when you don't put pressure on the QB, you can only expect a corner to cover that receiver, 4 seconds maybe? I mean, other than that, you got some guys sitting back there. Right. Yeah, and that might even be a stretch. You got a guy sitting back there 5-6 seconds.
Right.
You can't guard a wide receiver in this league.
Not the Legion. It's not the Legion of Boom anymore,
Yeah, absolutely.
Those days are gone, unfortunately, and that's what they counted on way back when. That Legion of Boom and that crowd, That was their go-to.
And especially with Sherman, too, because, some of these corners are smaller, and Sherman was he's 6'3". I mean, he was just long. And then you're talking about having Cam Chancellor, and then at that point, the best free safety in football, and Earl Thomas. And and obviously they had Brian Maxwell, too, who ended up going to the Eagles and stinking. But, obviously you're a lot better when you're playing with guys like that. But they had one heck of a secondary. And, one of the great defenses, of all time. I mean, let's be honest. Cliff Averill on the defensive end. Wagner was playing linebacker. That was a talented defense.
Absolutely. So,
you guys want to move on to the New Orleans game?
Yeah, and then game 2 today. We have
the Bears
and the Bears, and I kind of feel like saying okay, I think the Saints just steamroll them, but it's playoff weekend.
Yeah,
right.
And this would be a huge upset if the Bears, and plus Drew Brees walks away from football losing to Mitch Trubisky. Really? I mean, it's one thing you lose to Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, like that walking off, okay, but Mitch Trubisky, come on, man.
With your head down.
Yeah, that would be brutal. And let's not forget, too, the Saints lost to Kirk Cousins last year and the Vikings. And, that was a bad first-round exit and a surprise. So, I mean, the Saints got to get it done today. No doubt about it. But, the one thing I do like, they have their pieces today.
Right.
I mean, Michael Thomas has been on the field, I think it was 10 quarters. That's it.
Wow.
So you're talking about 2.5 ball games out of 16. That's a huge piece
that is huge.
For the Saints. That's a big,
I didn't realize that was good for him.
Losing him was bigger than losing Drew Brees, and I'll stick to it. Yeah. I mean, it's a huge loss. And then obviously Brees missed 4 games too. So, look, I think the Saints get it done today. Do I think they cover 10 points? I wouldn't lay 10 points. Bears, we'll see. Roquan Smith might be out today. And if that's the case, that's going to make it even tougher, losing a great defensive player like him. But, I think the Saints should handle their business. Going to see a lot of Kamara, I would think, and they'll try to get the ball to Michael Thomas. And let's see, can Trubisky, move the ball and score some points against that Saints defense in New Orleans? And look, the one guy that's been huge for the Bears is STIZZ's boy, Montgomery. David Montgomery has been huge. So they're going to have to rely on him a lot. And I would take it the Saints are going to try to kind of stop him and obviously Allen Robinson, because that seems like pretty much where it stops there for the Chicago offense.
Mandatory Montgomery, baby. He did me well. He did me well in the last 5 games of the season. Got me at least one of my Super Bowl rings. So they're going to run the ball a lot with Montgomery. They're going to pepper Allen Robinson. I mean, I can't see him getting no less than 11, 12 targets today. This Darnell Mooney actually came on strong during the year. I think he's a little banged up. I didn't see his injury status if he was playing today or not, but he's actually been a big help in the receiving game this year too with Chicago. So 10 points, is a lot. I mean, when you look at it, like Coach said, you say New Orleans should blow this team out, but it's playoffs. Teams play a little bit, tighter with each other. As we seen yesterday, all the dogs were barking. Seems like every year, we talk about this just behind the scenes. and it's dogs every first week of football. And I say every year, we should take the underdogs no matter who it is. Don't even look at the line. Don't look at the games. Just take all the underdogs. It's hard to, though. Hard to go have big name teams, right?
Right. Yep. 100%.
Hey, look, it comes through. I'd have to do some research, but it comes through. It seems like almost every year, at least the last, 5 or 6 that I've been kind of keeping track of it. So we'll see what happens today. But we are due for a blowout somewhere, right? I mean, it can't be all 6 dogs, I wouldn't think. And if it was going to be a blowout, it should be this New Orleans game. So we'll see what happens.
And then again, I wouldn't call this an upset if the Brownies won today. I wouldn't call that an upset. I think,
with the circumstances, I agree with you. But with the circumstances, I think I would, just because Stefanski's out. They're missing what is it, a guard, STIZZ, I think, that's out for them with the COVID protocol. And then Higgins, a backup receiver. But look, the way Pittsburgh's been playing, I agree with you, Coach. I think Pittsburgh should win today, but like I said, anything can happen, man. I don't doubt anybody. Like I had said with the Redskins yesterday. Look, they could have won that game. I said I liked the Redskins with the points yesterday. That's why I did the tease. I felt comfortable with the Bills at pick and the Bucks at 2. And that's where I was. It ended up going up to, what was it, STIZZ, 9.5. So the Redskins,
I saw 10 some places.
Yeah, so 10 some places. You needed that teaser, obviously. You needed those 6 points. So it's tough. And like I said, there's usually an upset on Wild Card Weekend. So I look, one of those 2 games, probably on upset alert. But we'll see. And like I said, obviously, I would think the Browns before the Bears. But if that Steelers defense does their job, they got to stop the run, obviously. I think in that game, it's going to come down to Baker Mayfield. Just like I said yesterday with Rivers, can Baker Mayfield make a play in the second half? And,
That's
Baker, and look, the Browns, give them credit. They beat the teams they were supposed to. They were 11-5. But 11-5, so 6 more wins than losses, they still were negative point differential. So they still got outscored. So, a lot of close wins. I hate to say a lot of wins. Look at their last game. The Pittsburgh doesn't play their starters. They win by 2 points. So I just, Stefanski not coaching. The Browns, if they win today, you're going to see a huge game from Chubb and Hunt. I would be surprised if it's, Baker might have a good game, but I'd be surprised if it's, they don't have a good running game, and those guys are held, and then Baker throws for like 303 touchdowns or something. I don't see that. I think it would be more, obviously, they have a lot of success running the ball, and that Steelers offense struggles. That's the way I think that's their path to victory, and it has.
I feel the same way because I agree with you. I just don't think Baker's the guy. And if I'm Pittsburgh or anybody playing the Browns, I'm loading the box up. I'm shutting down the run. And Baker, beat me with your arm because I don't think he can do that, especially in this big of a game. Because the last time he's been in this big of a game was the college playoff, and he didn't really play very well in that game.
Hey, listen, Browns' first playoff appearance is 2002. I mean, so this is something totally new to them. You know what I mean? No Stefanski play calling. I mean, you're right. I mean, if Pittsburgh's going to beat them, which they should, they have to load up the box. I mean, Nick Chubb, that should be the game plan. Matt, what's up, my man?
What's up, Matt? Yeah, hey, Matt, it's very possible. I don't doubt the Browns because, look, any team that can run the football and play defense is going to be tough. I don't love the Browns defense, but you still got Myles Garrett. You got Denzel Ward, but you're going to need a game out of him. You're going to need to – and look, another thing too, Olivier Vernon, I know Coach don't love him, but he had 9 sacks this year, and he was the Robin to Myles Garrett's Batman.
He is, though. But he's a Robin. When he was with the Giants tried to make him a Batman. He wasn't Batman, and now he goes to Cleveland, becomes Robin, and you're seeing the same guy that was great in Miami, because he was a Robin in Miami. So.
Right, but still, that's a big loss though for that Cleveland defense. It really is. So, a tall task, but and that's the thing too. I want to start early, get the Browns, get a nice drive, get some points on the board, because you don't want to make it where you're down double digits and now TJ Watt can unload, and
right.
pin his ears back and really start putting pressure on Baker Mayfield.
Hey, Pittsburgh 17-0 at home versus the Browns. And anybody that knows me, I love to buck the trends. So, Matt, I agree with you. I could see it happen. I mean, we talked when Pittsburgh was 11-0. And me and Coach, we called him a fugazi, a fake. Okay. And you see with their schedule, I mean, they were 11-0 because of their schedule, and they started, you started seeing some flaws. Now they got banged up on defense. They lost a couple real important guys, but Dupree, is one of the main ones. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm not impressed with Pittsburgh. A lot of drop balls. They're not running the ball well. If Cleveland's defense can capitalize on them, and kind of hold them stout, I think they have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously lost Devin Bush, too, on defense, and Jeff Spillane to the injuries you were talking about, Stiz.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, if Pittsburgh loses today, I think it's all going to be on Big Ben and the offense. I really do. I think you're going to see the trend that's been going on with Pittsburgh of the offense struggling and not being able to run the ball, and then, obviously just completely being one-dimensional with the pass and not being able to do it. And that's really been the issue. And, look, we'll see what happens. That's why the games are played. But, hey, look, man, if the Browns win, I would be happy for Cleveland fans. One of the best fan bases in football. I mean, come on, look, man, they had their team stolen from them, basically. They go to Baltimore and win a Super Bowl, and then they all come back in 99, and they haven't had a ton of success in those 20 years. But they come back every week and every year. And like I said, one of the great fan bases. So, if the Browns can pull one off, I would be happy for their fan base.
May as well.
Okay. I agree. So, Nevada Nick, you want to roll out with some,
Yeah. Yep. All right. So, first of all, I'm going to start up with the first game we talk about. And look, when all the lines came out Monday, this was the game I loved. The whole board, this was my favorite game. Ravens -3. I love them. And look, if you can, some have 3.5. If you have 3, buy it to 2 and a hook. If you have 3.5, buy it to 3. I love the Ravens today. I really do. I like the matchup. You got, STIZZ had mentioned, you got revenge on their mind. They lost at home in Baltimore, number 1 seed last year. Tennessee upsets them. Tennessee also beat them earlier in the year. So this is a big revenge game. I just think, like I said, the balance of the Ravens is going to beat Tennessee. A lot of people like Tennessee. I'm on the Ravens. I know those last 5 wins, it wasn't the greatest teams, but I just like how Lamar's playing. I like the Ravens -3. And then I'll tell you, if the Ravens can get by this game and the Steelers win, and it's Ravens-Chiefs, man, that is a tough matchup for the Chiefs. And I'm curious to see how that plays off, too, because the Chiefs, let's not forget, they took off Week 17, too. So you're kind of coming off a 3-week bye almost, Right. So really curious to see what happens. But, I love the Ravens -3. And then I'm going to do a tease. I don't like the Steelers at 6. I'm going to do a 7-point tease because the Saints are 9.5, 10. So I'm going to go Steelers +1 with the Saints -2.5, or if it's 10, -3. So I like the Saints to win by a field goal. And then the Steelers, I do think the Browns can win, but I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think the Browns have a lot to overcome with Stefanski out. And obviously, the injuries, Olivier Vernon, the guard who's out. I just think it's going to be a little bit too much. And I think the Steelers squeak out a win here, win by, let's say, 27-23.
Okay.
And then also I got a prop bet, too.
Whoa.
I love Go ahead.
Trying to get in on the
yesterday,
action here. He's trying to get in on the action here, Stiz.
Hey,
He's trying to steal a little bit of your thunder, man.
Hey,
Coach,
Coach, you should be thanking me every day because, he's on the air last year, and I say, yo, you got to let my prop guy in. So he lets my prop guy in for the Super Bowl. He goes 5-0, and then this year he goes 21-6. So, come on now, Coach. But, yeah, my prop is going to be J.K. Dobbins scores a touchdown. I love it. Another one I'll give out, too. I like Ravens to score on their first drive, and it can be a field goal or a touchdown. So I'll give those out.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
But, yeah, 26-6. I say this is my prop guy. I bring him on board 82% or whatever that is. Come on now, Coach.
Man. Easy money. Easy money.
Right. So, yeah, think about that. If you put 100 a game on his props, you're up about $2,000. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Just $100 better, up $2,000.
Yep. Unbelievable. So now let's get into the real prop bets where you make real money this week.
Hey, I won yesterday. What are you talking about, Coach? Keep it up. I'll stop giving points. I mean, my picks. I'll go give my stuff to I'll go on my other.
Your other 16 shows that you do, man.
Right. That's right. Nevada's multitasking. Listen, I will tell you guys. You guys gave me a new nickname yesterday of the Magician, and came through. Like I said earlier in the show, Jonathan Taylor over 77.5 rushing yards. He ended up with 78
yards, man.
just cleared the mark. It's crazy. I came home last night and I had a few messages on my phone. Looking to get me in, for kids' parties. I think Coach was mentioning. He kind of put that up on the air. They seen the Magician status.
Yep.
Fortunately, I talked to some of the moms, some of the parents. They said, "What do you do? Do you do magic tricks? Do you make balloons? Animal balloons?" I said, "Nah, lady, I give out prop bets." They said, "Well, you know what? I'm going to hire you anyway." So, Coach, I appreciate the nickname. I got a couple gigs lined up for the next couple.
Hey, I get a little kickback for that. The
Coach, you don't get a kickback. I'm the one who called you the Magician, not him.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nevada, but listen,
once again, Coach ain't creative like that. Come on, you should know
better. Coach, I'll give you some kickback. I'll give you some kickback anyway. I'm going to send you some cookies coming up next week. Hey, don't worry.
Don't worry, they'll be here by springtime, though. It's
fine. Yeah. So, I'm getting a little full of myself, and I gave out one yesterday on Wild Card Weekend. I'm going to give you two today, okay? And I'm going to start with them Cleveland Brownies, and I'm going to give you Nick Chubb over 66.5 rushing yards. I don't know, guys. I mean, this almost looks too easy. This looks like a layup and a half. What do they got to do? Cleveland's got to run the ball. They got to have a good running game to beat these Steelers. And I think without Stefanski, in Baker Mayfield's ear, I think that's the game plan to start, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Listen, Nick Chubb, week 6, he didn't play. Week 17, 14 rushes for 108 yards. Pittsburgh's D still banged up. I think they should run over him all day. I'm going over 66.5 rushing yards for my first prop bet.
All right.
My second one, the Magi is going off the charts. All right, you guys are going to think I'm crazy on this. Derrick Henry has been killing it. Last week, he needed 233 yards or something like that to get to 2,000. Easily got it with 250. He gets the 2,000 mark. He's at 122.5 today. This is. I do research. I check out stats. I go with trends. This is really a gut feeling call on my end. 2019 AFC divisional round, Henry had 195 rushing yards. Week 11 this year, he had 133 rushing yards. He went over this number, 122.5, 5 times this year. He's been a beast all year long. But I think the way Baltimore's defense has been playing, I think they're going to slow him down. You're not going to stop him, okay? He's probably going to have 100 yards. But I think, the books really inflated this number because of the last few weeks, because of last week's 250-yard game. So I'm banking on the under. I'm still banking on, like I said, maybe close to a 90, 95, 100-yard game. But I think this game goes under. And like I said, going off the limb here because you got to be crazy to bet the under on this kid. But you know what? Yeah. I'm crazy. So here we go.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, the Ravens got a good defense too. Obviously this isn't the Houston Texans defense, where you're going to get 200 and some yards. Ravens got a good D. It'll be interesting to see. I agree with you, Stiz. I bet that myself, Derek Henry under today. Now, Coach, Super Bowl picks. All right, I'm going to give out and look, man, I've been really going back and forth on this one because early in the year I gave out Chiefs, Saints win it all. Okay, and part of me wants to do pick integrity and stick with what I picked, and I've been going back and forth. I'm sticking with the Saints, I am, but I've been going back and forth between the Chiefs and Bills. I really have, and I hate doing it, but I'm going to switch. I'm going to go Bills Saints in the Super Bowl. And I'm going to go with the Saints winning it. And I just have it, like I said, I don't like how the Chiefs are playing. And I don't love the Saints. I really thought we were going to play Russell Wilson and then probably play Green Bay. So I don't love playing the Bucs next week with the Saints. That does concern me. But I'm hoping, obviously, they take care of business obviously today and then next week. But I like the Saints versus the Packers. I do think the Saints can beat the Packers, even in Green Bay. But it does worry me now that they're going to play the Bucs. But I'm going to go Saints, Bills. Saints win the Super Bowl. What do you got, Coach Stiz? What do you got?
Coach, go ahead. You're up.
Yeah, Coach.
Okay,
Coach. All right.
I like that. Give a little respect. Give a little respect down low here. I mean, Coach
don't know what his pick is. That's what the problem is.
He's stalling. Tick. He's
Come on, Spider.
That's all right, Coach. I talk slow so you can figure something out. No problem.
No, I already got it. It's fine.
I know. Ahead, so, beginning of the year, I called Kansas City, Seattle. We see that didn't flourish. I did like Seattle, making it to the playoffs ahead of San Fran. Just that Rams defense, that matchup they had in the wild card weekend just was too much for them.
Right.
I still, as much hype and as much as we like Buffalo, I think Kansas City, if they get that matchup, I think Kansas City finds a way to beat them. I mean, they've been playing real tight games. Mm. They're kind of due for a good game in Kansas City. They really are. And I think Kansas City moves on out of the AFC. And boy, I'll tell you, there's a lot of good teams in the NFC, but man, I want to go with Tom Terrific. I'm going to go with the GOAT. I'm going to go with the GOAT beating New Orleans. If obviously they get by Chicago, which they think they should, right. But I'm going to go with the GOAT finding a way to beat New Orleans, and maybe this New Orleans team. With Michael Thomas, maybe he's not healthy. We're going to see what happens with him today. We're going to see what kind of stats he has. But I could see him maybe getting past them. And, boy, that's going to be a hell of a game with Green Bay, when it comes down to it. Mm-hmm. Man, Green Bay's got the weapons. But I'm going to go off the limb, and I'm going to go with Tom Terrific, and I'm going to go with Kansas City. I'm going to go with Kansas City repeating. Okay. Even though I'd really like to go bonkers and go with Tom going out with another Super Bowl win. I'm going to go with Kansas City.
Okay. All right, Coach, who do you got?
I got Buffalo and Tampa. I got Buffalo winning it all.
Okay. Wow.
Nice team. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, I think we'll all agree with this. It's wide open right now. It really is. It's. I wouldn't be surprised. I think the Chiefs can win it. I think the Packers can win it. I think the Bills can win it. I think the Saints can win it. And I do think, you got to watch out for the Bucs. They would be my fifth. I like those other teams first, but I'm not in the business, and I've said this a bunch of times, I'm not in the doubting Tom Brady business. I'm just not. And he's balling. So I don't think they'll lose because of Tom Brady. If they lose, it's going to be because their defense hasn't been playing as good. Wow. They were missing Devin White yesterday. and just the youth, making mistakes, not having that playoff experience, which you saw a little bit yesterday. But it's look, they're playing well. They're starting to find it now, and Brady's been playing good for 4 or 5 games. So watch out. And on STIZZ's Super Bowl pick with the Seahawks earlier in the year, if you could match that Seahawks first half of the year offense with the second half of and I know but still, their defense was great in the second half.
Yeah.
Their offense was great in the first half. It's just when the defense started playing well, the offense started stinking. So, Seattle's not far off. They got to fix the line, but you got Russell Wilson and you got playmakers on the outside. They're not that far away. They need a couple pieces on defense and, a lineman or two, and they'll be right there.
It's crazy. It's crazy to say that Tampa Bay is honestly the dark horse going into the Super Bowl. It really is. But you know what? Hey, if Mike Evans is healthy and he looks like he did yesterday, I mean, anything's possible. Antonio Brown's clicking with Tom Brady, man. 4 touchdowns in 4 games in a row with a touchdown, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and Fournette, the running game's playing well, playing well also.
Yeah, and Fournette looked good yesterday. And give credit because Coach mentioned too, Evans went out. Fournette yesterday made sure he stayed in bounds.
Yes.
Which, that's the kind of stuff. It's heady situational stuff that I like. And you need to coach, coach knows, especially in the playoffs, man. You got to know that stuff. And Mike Evans I couldn't believe yesterday. He just went right out of bounds. Take the hit, stay in bounds. And look, that's 40 seconds, Coach. Because they ran out of timeouts. That's 40 seconds.
Well, no, they still, at the time, Washington had 3 timelouts.
Right, but they wouldn't have had another timeout in the end of the drive.
That timeout, right. And so it would have ended, so when they got that other first down, they would have.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They wouldn't have had a timeout later in the drive, and they would have had 40 seconds taken off. And, then you're talking about, being under 2 minutes with the drive instead of having 2 minutes and 50 seconds and no timeouts. You'd have had under 2 minutes and no timeouts, which, it's real tough for a guy starting his first game or second game, excuse me. He started 1 game with Carolina, Heineke. So, tough. That was a tall order to ask.
Right. So, all right, everyone. Thanks for checking us out. We're going to end it up so everybody can go out and get their bets in and make some money today. Enjoy some great football. We'll be back tomorrow night, regular time, 6 to 7. We'll recap the weekend and everything going on. So everyone have fun. Make sure you go over to YouTube, subscribe if you haven't already, ring the bell, like the page here on Facebook. It's you can reach out to Nevada Nick, Nevada_Nick on Twitter. He'll put his picks up again out there, and sure he'll hook up STIZZ as well. With that. So check us out. Of course, Coach Muddle, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just type it in and be part of the show. But thanks, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Magi.